Forgive me. I feel the urge again to review something old from my past. I sense it. Help me find the power, grandfather. With that cheesy intro out of the way, welcome back. If that wasn't enough Star Wars for you, you've come to the right place today. Now, when I started doing these videos, my sole goal was just to look at old toys from the past, but you know how it goes. New Transformers come out on a regular basis. But today we're not looking at robots. We're looking at space adventurers. We're looking at galactic villains. We're looking at interstellar heroes. It's Star Wars. Do I even need to begin to tell you what Star Wars is? You already know. And for those of you who weren't around in 1997, when the movies were started to be re-released in movie theatres, of which I have fond memories of going to Southwood Fedodian and seeing way before its remodel in the early 2000s, so I got to see it on the big screen. 1997, the year that gave us Anaconda, where you could go into a Woolworths and steal sweets and all was right with the world. But was it? Yeah, in 1997, George Lucas re-released all the Star Wars films, or at least started to with A New Hope, with brand new added CGI and brand new added scenes, which... let's just say they haven't aged very well. Not She-Hulk level, but not exactly good. But way before that, the hype train did actually start in 1995 with a wave of toys called Power of the Force. Star Wars. Yeah, Power of the Force was kind of a reinvention for the 90s of the Star Wars toys. There was a bit of controversy because a lot of them were in fixed pose stance, much like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. A lot of them were muscular, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah, everything had to be super muscular. I mean, did anyone actually see the Total Justice series of figures that were released? I mean, everything kind of had to have those kind of check marks down them in order to be a successful line. However, the classic nature of Star Wars won through, and within a year or so, the muscular body types kind of disappeared and reverted back into what we traditionally know as Star Wars figures. But for the time being, this was my Star Wars. Yeah, along with these and Star Wars Micro Machines Action Fleet, Star Wars was having a kind of resurgence in the mid-90s, which was helped by the re-release of the movies just before the re-release of the prequels. So it was a kind of Star Wars renaissance in a way. Yeah, I actually had this toy as a kid, and it does bring back many nostalgic memories for me. But is it as good as I remember, or is it just nostalgia playing tricks with my mind and trying to make me feel it's better than it actually was? So we're going to have a look at 5 of these bad boys today and kind of rip open the packaging and just take a gander at what was 1995 Star Wars. I'm a little nervous, I'm not going to lie. So yeah, while I had this Luke Skywalker in his Dagobah outfit, I never had any of these others. I only had a couple of Star Wars figures. As a kid in the 90s, there was a lot of things. There was Power Rangers, there was TMNT, there was still Transformers, there was Star Wars, obviously. It was just a cavalcade of never-ending releases, and being a kid with slight ADHD tendencies, it was kind of difficult to keep track and say, I want to collect all of these, but here we are. I have 5 now. So obviously we have C-3PO with no accessories and no weirdness. No red leg, no silver arm, nothing like that. I know I've completely got those wrong, but it's just in his gold form. He looks good, little chromed out. Star Wars Force Power of the Force packaging was quite bland, and it went from red to green, which, if this is his lightsaber, why did Darth Vader change it from red to green? I always wondered that. But this was, I believe, 95. Kenner and Tonka Corporation. All rights reserved, obviously. Made in China, obviously. You got the really old Star Wars fan club thing. For $9.95, you can receive a year's subscription to the Star Wars Insider magazine. Including a quarterly merchandise catalog and exclusive Star Wars membership kit. Send check and money order to... Oh, God, money orders. Oh, this is the 90s. Or call 1-800-TRUE-FAN. Because if you had, you know, your Power of the Force C-3PO, you were a true fan. You've obviously got your bio on the back with the cutouts. Like, I don't think many figures, lines at all do this. I could be wrong, but, you know, I generally go for Transformers now, so I don't know if they still do this. But you've got your classics, you got your Stormtrooper, you got your Darth Vader, you got your Han Solo, you got your Luke Skywalker, you got your Chewie backing, you got your R2-D2, Ben, Obi-Wan, it's Obi-Wan, Kenobi, and obviously C-3PO. No Leia, I notice, all just dudes. But obviously you've got your TIE Fighter, your X-Wing, your Land Speeder, and of course you had to have vehicle playset of the Millennium Falcon. This, I think, is where the cash grab was, because the X-Wing and the Falcon are just iconic. I mean, same as Darth Vader's look, but, you know, you see Darth Vader, you see Millennium Falcon, Star Wars, you know, instant. So, that's your C-3PO. Next up, we've got a very bulked out, and you can see what I mean by the muscles. Like, he is freaking swole. He's been going to the gym, bro. Like, his arms are kind of like almost as thick as his torso, it looks like in the box. And his face kind of looks a bit messed up, but we'll have a look. But he's doing the, kids, get off my lawn pose, which he's well renowned for. The figure looks good. I've never actually owned a Darth Vader figure, so this is my first one at like 30-something years old. The red in the lightsaber over time has kind of diminished, it looks like this guy might have been left out in the sun. Like, that looks like a bit of sun damage, but I might be wrong. But I forgot, ages 4 and up. Sorry, small parts you might swallow. But yeah, this guy's, he's looking hench. I mean, do people still say that now? But you can see what I mean about the muscle. Like, he, you know, as someone cosplaying as Vader. But again, you've got your same get off my lawn pose, the same cutout, your same product shots, Star Wars Fan Club, Kenner, proof of purchase, which obviously you bought that, that's the proof, you've got the figure. Yeah, I noticed like all the figures apart from these two have accessories, which for the size, if you were, what, a kid, and you bought, like, spent your pocket money on 2 figures and you didn't get any accessories, I'd be pretty PO'd, I really would. But it is what it is, so that's your swole Vader. And of course, no evil overlord is complete without his inept henchman, and here we have inept henchman 576, Stormtrooper with blaster rifle and heavy infantry cannon. Ooh, look at that infantry cannon, that looks good. Blaster rifle, the moldings on these look pretty good for the 90s, I've got to say. I mean, this looks pretty flat and dull, but, you know, it's a suit of space armor. Obviously, your same blurb on the back for Stormtrooper. Weapon of choice, Imperial issue blaster. I'm not really sure that was his choice. I think that was just, you know, the word issue is kind of key there. He was issued this. He didn't choose this. So, yeah. You can see what I mean as well when I mentioned earlier about the stance. Like, his feet look like they're flip-flopping and like he's going to fall off the packaging. So these guys had specific ways to stand that you just couldn't stand them up flat, which was, I guess, supposed to make them more dynamic, but it obviously it faded out pretty quickly, so it never caught on. But smart. So there's your Stormtrooper. Now we have your Han Solo in his carbonite block, which is a lie because he's right there. The carbonite block is behind him. But this, I've got to say, this was much better value. I picked these up each $9, plus tax, obviously. But for $9, I've got to say the condition these guys are in are all, I mean, obviously for a figure that's over 20 years old. But these are pretty good. And the accessories that come with Solo, I'm pretty impressed. Like, they fit a lot in there. I do wish they'd have the little plastic bit that came down, because when you try to stand them up, they do fall forward. But, you know, they were saving money on plastic even back then, so that's good. That's good. On the back, you've got your blurb, and they've chosen the carbonite picture, not him himself. So that's kind of funny. But he's a smuggler, a pirate, a rebel pilot. That's all you need to know. This was from the wave in 96, so this is a year after the other three so far, and you've got more of a join the official 1-800-TRUE fan, which makes me laugh because, you know, you don't need to know every bit of lore or collect everything or know everything to be a fan. You can just appreciate it for what it is. I like the Star Wars movies. I'm going to say something. I'm more of a Trekkie. No! I grew up more with Star Trek than Star Wars, but I do have fond memories of these. But let's have a look. You've got your vehicles with Dash Rendar's Outrider, which I know he's probably really not an obscure character, but I have no clue who Dash Rendar is. The electronic Rebel Snowspeeder, which I think next to the X-Wing is my favorite kind of Star Wars vehicle. It's just a chunk with some guns, and I love it. It's just perfect. I remember seeing these in stores, especially at my local Ely's. I remember these two especially. They were always, I thought, really overpriced, but you've got your Boba Fett, and these are 2-packs. You got your Boba Fett and your IG-88, which I always liked, and I liked the fact that they gave a droid. Was it? Oh God, Mandalorian. They use a similar model in the Mandalorian, but you've also got Darth Vader and Prince Zizor. Is he from... He's from a game, isn't he? Oh, Dark Horse comic. Oh, bloody hell. This is old. Someone, if you know... Obviously, if I make a mistake or don't know who something is, if you know, feel free to correct me in the comments. You got Chewbacca in Bounty Hunter disguise. Which is just him with some 90s garb on. You got Prince Zizor, Luke Skywalker in Imperial Guard disguise. That was obviously from the comic. These are all probably Dark Horse characters that I have no clue about. You got Dash Rendar, which obviously Rebel, Imperial Rebel. It was good that we're giving obscure characters figures, even in like Wave 2. I mean, you could have filled this out with Lando Calrissian, or, you know, like 2 layers or another Luke or whatever, but they didn't. They did put another Luke in. Bloody idiot. Obviously Han Solo in Carbonite. Obviously Princess Leia in Borscht disguise. And then Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker, which was a really good... I like the fact they dressed him in black to give the impression that he might turn to the dark side. But then, like, on the underside of his clothes... Later, he's got like white underlining, which was really, I thought, you know, I'm not a big Star Wars nerd, but I do notice and know things like that just for being a movie buff, because it showed that he had a good balance of light and dark. You know, the son progresses further than the father, so that was pretty cool. So we have Han Solo, so there he is. And obviously, right now, the crowning achievement, the Luke Skywalker in Dagobah fatigues. And he does look quite fatigued. But I can see why they gave them a bit more of a muscly physique for a lot of these figures. Because, you know, you don't notice this a lot, but, like, Mark Hamill kind of bulked out for this. Like, you know, that's a... Damn! Mark got swole, yo! So this kind of, I feel, reflects better with his progression. Like, someone like Darth Vader, you don't need... Like, he's powerful enough. He doesn't need to be hitting the gym. But he's got his little rifle and his lightsaber. And obviously, the blurb on the back, in Dagobah fatigues. Oh, again, this must have been a Wave 2 in 95. But you've got your Imperial ATST. I had that as well. The Imperial Speed Biker with Scout Trooper. Never had that, or that. I did have a Millennium Falcon, but it was an old 70s one that I got at a car boot fair, which for Americans is basically like a yard sale if all the yard sales in your area went to a field and then just set up right there and stayed there for half the day. So you've got the fighter pilot, which again I also had. Like I did, and I also had the Luke Skywalker in the X-Wing fighter gear, so I did have a few, and I did have an old R2-D2. So, you know, my love for Star Wars was there. It just wasn't like, even in Wave 2, they're bringing out like 4 or 5 new things. So it was kind of, pocket money only takes you so far, guys. Come on, like, it was the 90s. Obviously, you got your classics with a couple more thrown in. Then you've got Luke Skywalker, Han Solo in Hoth gear, which I see so much of in like the Black Series and the redone classics. Is like, I always seem to see or think I see a Hoth gear Solo. I don't know why. You got little old Yoda, which if these were $10 each, that really is ripping you off for your money because Yoda's like half the size. You got your Lando Calrissian, which again, right now, it's like every single Ollie's, every single GameStop, like there's like a ton of these guys. And your Boba Fett's. So even in Wave 2 in the same year, they were bulking out the line, but still no Princess Leia until like the following year. Come on, guys, like inclusivity. But you got your Kenner logo. So, I mean, I can tell where Kenner's thoughts were because 95, 96, Beast Wars was coming out, so they just thought, bung some of these out, they won't release a movie. Oh, they're releasing a movie? Oh shit, we need to like throw some more shit out there. Alright, okay. Let's crack these bad boys open. So we're going to start off with Luke Skywalker, and he looks pretty impressive. He does look really, really buffed out, like him and Vader have been hitting the gym a lot. Kind of skipped leg day though. These figures are a little bit better than I remember. They are quite intricate and like fiddly, smaller, being 3.5, but they've even got waist swivels, which for figures with just like regular peg joints, I appreciate. Adds a little bit of depth to the figure. So he looks good. The molding's good. Looks all right. There's obviously quality control, can't have everything, but his hair looks good. The face looks a bit vacant, I will say that. But overall, a good Luke Skywalker. He does have his blue lightsaber, which is really good, and unlike the red, has really kept the blue plastic. Like, this is bright, this is very vibrant, and with the silver hilt, it's exactly how I remember it. And I lost this like a day later, so the pistol, on the other hand, is just your basic bog standard sights clip, kind of like a German Ruger or whatever it is, but yeah, just your bog standard pistol. Nothing to shout about. Now we'll move on to C-3PO. Like, his joints are the most stiff. Like, I have real trouble getting his arms up because there's so much resistance. And I'm not sure whether that's because of the chrome or what, but he seems to be the most classic looking. I mean, he's a robot. You can't really mess up a design like this too badly. But his little face looks good. Iron Man-esque, I guess, with... Oh, chrome is already flaking off, if you can see that there. Wow. Well, over 20 years old, not going to complain. But yeah, the molding's good. It's exactly how I remember. And is probably annoying. So that's your lot for him, no accessories. I'm gonna move on to the Stormtrooper next, because he just seems really bland. Like, there's no detailing. Like, there's a little bit on the gloves, and obviously here and here, but it's all so flat. Like, he just feels cheap. Even for figures this size, he feels cheap, but he does come with two guns, if I can get this into his bloody hand. So he does come packing, and he is kind of like, I can't miss, and then he misses everything. So classic Stormtrooper. But yeah, he's one of those ones you've got to kind of have. I remember Bucky O'Hare figures having a lot of this kind of weird dynamic posing stuff where your legs had to be in a certain position and the molding kind of fit that, if that makes sense. Like, the leg was here, so the lines would match where they'd painted it, so that told you exactly how to stand that figure. But the guns, they seem to have certain hands to put them in, exactly like Luke. The lightsaber seems to fit snugly into this one, rather it flops around in the other one. But the guns are just your bog standard basic molding, nothing really special. You know, if you stood this next to a G.I. Joe gun, me at least, I could not tell the difference. People very more well-educated could, but yeah, nice little lot for him. So yeah, just like the Luke figure, the lightsaber is intended for this hand because it doesn't rattle around as much. Like, it really is meant to be there. His cape is literally just held on by this. There's no peg or anything. So it's just molded into the neck, I guess. But he is, put that down for a second so we can see. He is looking pretty menacing. I thought there was something up with the helmet, but I guess it was just the plastic. That is the most iconic villain face ever. Like, I can understand why they brought a little bit of it back for the last ones, where Kylo Ren's talking to the mask, because it's just, you had to throw that in. It's just so freaking iconic at this point. But yeah, the waist swivel seems to be a bit clicky on this one. But his arms are huge. Like, he would knock you, he would bitch, he doesn't even need to use the force, he'd just fucking bitch slap the hell out of you. He wouldn't even need to use a fist. But yeah, he looks good. He's shiny where he needs to be shiny, and he's matted where he needs to be matted. The cape works. I like the little silver detailing. It's only a little bit of detailing, but it works. It's really difficult with just like the tiniest bits of silver in the mask and all the rest of it being black. I'm not sure if that's a common problem of trying to pick out all the details, but from what I can tell, it's just a very basic Darth Vader face. And he works. He's got the gloves. Yeah. Apart from the thick, real thick arms that I just can't get over, is a good Darth Vader. Yeah. I will say his lightsaber, although he's lost some color, does have a painted black handle, which is cool. But when you put it against Luke's, I'm not sure if Luke's compensating for something, but like, Luke's definitely got the reach. Like, sorry, Dad, gotcha. I just found that hilarious. Like, Darth Vader's got a piddly little lightsaber, and Luke's like, yeah, mine's bigger. Insert your own dick joke. So yeah, his likeness is a lot better than Mark Hamill's, as I've said, and he does come with a pretty sweet gun, which, for any Star Wars fans, I'm going to say something else controversial. Han shot first. Yes, he did. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is the type of gun that he had, but I'm sure in one of the movies he did. But again, it's just your basic black plastic. Nothing to write home about. He's very bland, like he doesn't have his jacket, but he's still, you can see some muscle definition through there, so it's still a waist twirling bit of a bland figure, because obviously he went into carbonite, and I thought that this would just be like a block. I thought it would just be a solid block, and it's pretty good. It's got some like paint or sticker detailing in the sides for all the controls, like green light go. He's definitely in there. So the molding for this is pretty good. I feel really bad for a piece of molded plastic, but he just looks so much like so unhappy and so in pain. But anyway, but really these two can go together through the magic of a clip where you can just clip him in. And now he's in carbonite. Like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Like, he's just staring. Like, what the fuck? The chair's going crazy behind me. Like the foot holes don't even match. Like, the only thing that really matches is the face, but it just looks so dumb when you turn it around. Like, I know it's, you know, play feature, put him in, he's in carbonite, he's gone. We won't see him until the third movie. But it's like, overall this is pretty good separately, but together it's just, what's the friggin' point? You could literally put anyone in there. Like, I'm just gonna put Luke in carbonite. Luke is now in carbonite, and it looks like Han, but it's Luke. So yeah, that's why. Don't start any shit with me, Pa. My lightsaber's bigger than yours. That may be true, but I am more experienced in the Force. Yeah. Evil has been vanquished. Both my father and the Emperor are gone. Actually, no, they're not. What? Yeah, that was a clone. You killed a clone. What's a clone? There was a whole war. It's a thing. I'm off. These figures, for what they are a good little piece of nostalgia for the 90s, but really, they're not all that. And there are much better figures out in the 2022s currently. They serve a purpose for the time in order to build up hype for a movie that was being re-released. But really, it's just fluff, and that's all it'll ever be for me, is just a tiny little piece of who I am, and I'm sure a lot of other people who grew up with these figures in the mid to late 90s. So I can't really hold a grudge against them. They're a bit bland, but they serve a purpose, and really at the end of the day, that's all this is, merchandising to serve a purpose. So in that respect, it did its job. So I've been TOYSCOURGE. Thanks for watching and staying to the end. May the Force be with you, unless of course you're stuck in some carbonite, which could happen to anyone, I guess. And thank you for watching. I know I just said that in the outro, but it really is appreciated if you stick to the end. Hit like if you like the video, hit subscribe if you want more toy content, robot or Star franchise related in the future, whichever it may be. Have a good day. Halloween's coming up. I know I'm excited. Are you excited? You gotta be excited. Has anyone seen the bus? I want to... Oh dear. Well, vacation time.